What's causing Mark and Mary to go from this to this? Find out next on True Yet Untrue Tales. Okay, let's get on with the show. Years ago, a young married couple, we'll call them Mark and Mary, bought an older fixer-upper home. Now, the former owner had been a bit of a hoarder and left behind an unbelievable amount of junk. But the price was so right that they jumped on the opportunity immediately. They figured they could just spend a few weeks cleaning it out and maybe even sell some of the stuff they didn't want to help pay for the renovations. After working their way through the main floors, they finally headed down into the cellar. It was dark, damp, and smelled like old earth, and shoved deep into one of the corners was a large wooden barrel. Mary, who was a total Pinterest addict, was absolutely over the moon when she saw it. She told Mark she wanted to cut it in half and use it as a rustic planter for their front yard. The duo grabbed the edges of the barrel and tried to pull it out of the corner, but they were shocked by how heavy it was. It felt like it was bolted to the floor. As they heaved it forward, they could clearly hear a thick liquid sloshing around inside. After doing some hunting online, they realized they had a real vintage spirits barrel on their hands. They went out and bought a tap, and after a few days of waiting, they finally breached the wood. To their total astonishment, the barrel was full of a dark, rich, incredibly smooth rum. Mark just laughed and remarked, "Cleaning up their mess in exchange for free booze seems like a deal to me." They were so excited about their good fortune that they decided to use the rum to supply their housewarming party. Their friends couldn't get enough of it. Everyone kept asking where they bought this aged spirit. For the next year, through summer barbecues and holiday parties, that barrel was the center of their social life. They must have served hundreds of drinks from it. But after about a year of knocking back this great rum, the tap started to run dry. It got harder and harder to pull a drink, so they assumed it was finally tapped out. They decided it was time to finish Mary's planter project. But as Mark tried to move the barrel once again, his heart dropped into his stomach. Even though it was supposedly empty, the barrel was still far heavier than it should have been. Confused and a little frustrated, they moved it just enough to get a saw into the wood. Mark began to cut the barrel in half, the blade biting through the oak. But as the top of the barrel came away, a smell hit them that was so vicious and so distressing, it nearly knocked them over. That was when they discovered the source of the extra weight. Shoved inside the barrel, perfectly preserved by the alcohol they had been drinking for an entire year, was the gray, bloated corpse of a grown man.